Most people think getting rich means adding more hustle, more accounts, more complicated strategies, more stuff. And then they wonder why their net worth barely moves, even though they're earning more than they ever have. Be honest. How many times have you gotten a raise, felt great for about a week, and then realized nothing actually changed? Same stress, same balance hovering in the same range, same feeling that you're running on a treadmill someone keeps tilting steeper. Here's what nobody tells you. The average American household is carrying over $17,000 in credit card debt and juggling 470 subscriptions and memberships they barely remember signing up for. That's not a money problem. That's a clutter problem wearing a financial disguise. And the fix isn't earning more. It's stripping everything down until the path to wealth is so obvious you can't miss it. My name's Andy, and today I'm going to walk you through 13 rules that flip the usual money advice on its head. First, we'll clear the dead weight that's silently draining your accounts. Then, we'll build the automated machine that grows your wealth while you sleep. And finally, we'll lock in the habits that keep the whole thing running for decades without burning you out. The median savings account balance in the United States sits around $8,000. That number tells you most people aren't broke because they don't earn enough. They're broke because their money has too many places to leak. And once you see those leaks for what they are, the entire game changes. Here's the thing about minimalism and money. People hear minimalist and picture some guy in a white room with one chair and a single plant. That's not what we're talking about. Financial minimalism means every dollar in your life has a job, and if it doesn't, it gets cut. It means your money system is so simple that a 15-year-old could understand it. And it means you stop measuring wealth by what you own and start measuring it by what you keep. The first rule is the one that changes everything else. Own less, invest the difference. Not as a vague philosophy, as a weekly practice. Every time you're about to buy something, ask one question. Will this be worth more or less in 5 years? If the answer is less, and it almost always is, you're trading future wealth for present clutter. A 35-year-old who redirects just $300 a month from random purchases into a broad index fund, averaging around 7% annually, would have roughly $283,000 by age 60. That's not life-changing discipline. That's one fewer impulse buy per week. Right alongside that, you've got to simplify your actual accounts. One checking account for bills, one investment account for the future. That's the whole system. The mistake people make is spreading money across 6 or 7 accounts because some blog told them to have a vacation fund and a fun money bucket and a sinking fund for holiday gifts. All that complexity does is hide how much you're actually spending. Consolidate. When you can see everything in 2 places, you stop lying to yourself about where the money's going. Now, subscriptions. This one's almost too obvious, but that's exactly why people ignore it. The average American spends over $219 a month on subscriptions. Streaming, apps, meal kits, gym memberships they haven't used since February. Pull up your bank statement right now, today, and cancel anything you haven't actively used in the last 30 days. Not might use. Actually used. That single move could free up over $2,600 a year, and most people won't even notice it's gone. That recovered cash goes straight into your investment account. No negotiation, no I'll start next month. And this connects directly to how you buy things. Cheap stuff is expensive. I know that sounds like a bumper sticker, but run the math. If you buy a $40 pair of shoes every 6 months, you've spent $400 in 5 years and had sore feet the entire time. One quality pair for $150 that lasts 4 years costs you less and performs better. Minimalists don't deprive themselves. They buy fewer, better things, and they keep the difference invested. Apply that logic to furniture, clothes, tools, electronics. You'll spend less overall, and your house won't look like a storage unit. All right, let's talk about housing, because this is where financial minimalism gets teeth. The old rule was, keep your housing under 30% of your gross income. The minimalist rule is tighter. 25% of your take-home pay or less. Here's why that 5-point difference matters so much. On a $60,000 after-tax income, 30% is $18,000 a year on housing. 25% is $15,000. That $3,000 annual gap invested over 20 years at 7% turns into roughly $130,000. One rule, one shift, 6 figures. Most people never do the math on what their slightly nicer apartment is actually costing them over a lifetime. This leads to a mistake I see constantly: financing things that lose value. Car loans are the biggest offender. The average new car payment in the United States is over $730 a month. That's almost $9,000 a year going towards something that drops 20% in value the moment you drive it off the lot. And it doesn't stop there. Insurance costs more on a financed vehicle. You're often required to carry full coverage. You might be underwater on the loan within 2 years, meaning you owe more than the car is worth. The minimalist rule is blunt. Don't finance depreciating assets. If you can't buy the car in cash or with a very short loan, you're buying too much car. Drive something boring. Redirect that $700 monthly payment into investments. In 15 years, that decision alone could be worth over $220,000. Nobody looks back at age 50 and says, "I really wish I'd had a nicer car at 32. They look back and say, "I wish someone had shown me what that money could have become." So far, we've been clearing the dead weight. Now the game shifts. Once you've stripped out the leaks, you need a system that captures everything you've freed up and puts it to work automatically. Discipline is great, but automation is better. Before a single dollar goes into the market, though, you need a floor underneath you. 3 to 6 months of essential expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account. Not invested, not in crypto, not lent out to your cousin who swears he'll pay you back. Cash you can access tomorrow if everything goes sideways. Right now, high-yield savings accounts are paying somewhere around 4 to 5%, so your emergency fund isn't even sitting idle. It's earning while it waits. This fund isn't about growing wealth. It's about protecting your ability to keep investing when life throws something at you. Without it, one bad month forces you to sell investments at the worst possible time. And that's how people lose years of progress in a single panic. Once that floor is solid, investing gets radically simple. Broad index funds. That's it. Not individual stocks, not sector bets, not whatever your coworker swore was the next big thing at lunch. A single total stock market index fund or a simple 3-fund portfolio, domestic stocks, international stocks, and bonds, covers more than 10,000 companies across the globe. Over the last 40 years, the S&P 500 alone has averaged roughly 10% annually before inflation. You're not trying to beat the market, you're trying to ride it. 85% of actively managed funds underperform their benchmark index over a 15-year window. So the simplest approach isn't just easier, it actually wins more often. And here's where the whole machine comes together. Automate your contributions. Set them up to pull from your checking account on the same day you get paid. Before you see the money, before you feel it, before you have a chance to rationalize spending it. This isn't about willpower. It's about removing the decision entirely. Behavioral research consistently shows that people who automate their savings invest 2 to 3 times more over their lifetime than people who do it manually. The reason is simple. Manual investing means you have to choose to invest every single time. And some months you won't feel like it. The market will be down. A sale will catch your eye. You'll tell yourself you'll double up next month, and then next month has its own excuse. Automation kills all of that. If you're contributing $500 per paycheck into a total market index fund, you'll invest $12,000 a year without making a single active choice. Over 25 years at an average 7% return, that's roughly $812,000 from one automated transfer you set up on a Tuesday afternoon. This week, log into your brokerage or retirement account and set up an automatic contribution. Even if it's $200 a paycheck to start, you can increase it later. The point is to build the habit into the infrastructure of your paycheck, so investing is never a decision you have to make on a stressful Friday night. I get it, though. Systems are great on paper. The hard part is protecting them from yourself. And that brings us to the rules that keep this whole thing locked in over 10, 20, 30 years. Because the biggest threat to your wealth isn't a market crash. It's your own behavior after a raise. There's a trap that hits almost everyone who starts earning more. Your income goes up by $10,000, and within 6 months, your spending has gone up by $10,000. New restaurants, better clothes, a nicer apartment. You feel richer, but your net worth hasn't moved. The minimalist fix is a 90-day rule. When you get a raise, a bonus, or any bump in income, Change nothing about your lifestyle for 90 days. Live exactly as you did before. After those 90 days, you can upgrade one thing by half the raise amount. The other half goes straight to investing. Someone earning $75,000 who gets a $5,000 raise and follows this rule would invest an extra $2,500 a year. Over a career with multiple raises, that habit alone can mean the difference between retiring at 62 and retiring at 55. And while we're talking about behavior, stop checking your portfolio every day. This is a real problem, and it's gotten worse since everyone has brokerage apps on their phone right next to Instagram and the weather. Studies show that people who check their investments daily are significantly more likely to panic sell during downturns than people who check quarterly. Every red day feels like a crisis when you're staring at it in real time. But zoom out to a 5-year chart and those red days are invisible noise. The minimalist approach is to track your net worth once a month. Total assets minus total debts. One number, that's your scoreboard. You don't need to know what the market did on a random Wednesday. You need to know whether your trajectory is pointing in the right direction over months, not hours. When you zoom out, the dips that feel like disasters turn into tiny bumps on a line that's clearly moving up and to the right. So delete the brokerage app from your home screen. Move it to a folder you have to search for. Check in on the first of every month, update your net worth in a simple spreadsheet, and then close the tab. That one behavioral shift protects you from the emotional decisions that cost most investors between 1% and 2% per year in returns they'd otherwise keep. That doesn't sound like much, but over a 30-year career, it's massive. Now, here's a mistake that's sneakier than overspending. Taking on debt for things that produce no income and no lasting value. I'm not talking about a mortgage on a reasonable house or a student loan for a degree that actually raises your earning power. I'm talking about personal loans for vacations, credit card balances carried month to month, and buy now pay later plans that slice purchases into easy payments so you never feel the real price. The minimalist rule is to keep your total non-mortgage debt payments under 15% of your take-home income. If you're earning $5,000 a month after taxes, that means no more than $750 going to debt payments. Every dollar above that line is actively pulling you backward because it's money that can't compound for you. Let me bring this to life with two people. Call them Derek and Priya. Both are 30 years old. Both earn $70,000 a year. Both live in the same city, have similar social lives, and went to similar colleges. Derek lives the way most people do. He's got a $480 car payment, $240 in subscriptions he half uses, eats out 4 or 5 times a week, and rents a place that eats 32% of his take-home pay. He's not irresponsible. He's just normal. After all his fixed costs, he invests about $200 a month. And honestly, some months he skips it. Priya drives a paid-off car she bought used for $11,000. She's got 2 subscriptions total, 1 streaming service, and a gym membership she actually uses. She cooks most of her meals, not because she's punishing herself, but because she genuinely likes it, and finds eating out 5 times a week exhausting. Her rent is 24% of her take-home. She invests $800 a month on autopilot and barely thinks about it. Same income, same city, completely different trajectories. In 20 years, assuming a 7% average return, Derek's investments grow to roughly $104,000. Priya's grow to around $417,000. She didn't earn more. She didn't pick better stocks. She didn't have some secret trust fund or a side business generating passive income. She just had fewer financial leaks and a simpler system. That $300,000 gap came entirely from where the money went, not how much there was. And here's the kicker. If you ask Derek, he'd probably tell you Priya is lucky or good with money. She's not lucky. She just made fewer decisions every day, which left fewer openings for money to disappear. And this is where people get the whole minimalism thing wrong. They think it means spending nothing and living like a monk. It doesn't. It means spending intentionally on things that actually improve your life and cutting everything that doesn't. Priya still travels. She still buys things she loves. She still goes out with friends on weekends. She just doesn't buy things she doesn't care about out of boredom or habit. The things she owns serve a purpose or bring her genuine joy. The things she skips would have just collected dust or sat unused in a closet. That's the difference between deprivation and design. Deprivation feels terrible and never lasts. Design feels like freedom because you chose it. All right, the last piece, and honestly, it's the one people resist the most. Minimalism applies to complexity, not to ambition. You should absolutely try to earn more, negotiate raises, build a side income, develop skills that push you into a higher bracket. The difference is how you handle the extra money once it arrives. Most people treat a raise as permission to upgrade their life. The minimalist treats it as fuel for a machine that's already running. If you're earning $60,000 today and you push that to $85,000 over the next 5 years through a job switch and a small side project, but you keep your lifestyle anchored at $60,000, you're now investing an extra $25,000 a year. That's not sacrifice, that's strategy. And it compresses a 30-year wealth-building timeline into something closer to 15 or 20. Think about what that means in real terms. A couple who both earn $70,000 and live on a combined $90,000 has $50,000 a year flowing into investments. At 7% over 15 years, that's over $1.3 million. They're not living on rice and beans. They're just not letting every pay bump become a lifestyle bump. The gap between their income and their spending is the engine, and minimalism is what keeps that engine clean. One thing I want to be honest about, none of this is magic, and individual results depend on your starting point, your market timing, and 100 other variables you can't fully control. But the principles hold across nearly every scenario. So let's pull this all together. Financial freedom isn't about making more complicated moves than everyone else. It's about making fewer, cleaner ones and then getting out of the way. Strip the clutter from your spending. Cancel the subscriptions you forgot you had. Keep your housing lean. Stop financing things that lose value the second you swipe your card. Build a cash floor that lets you sleep at night. Invest in boring index funds that quietly outperform most professionals. Automate everything so you never have to rely on motivation. Give yourself 90 days before you let any raise change your lifestyle. Track your net worth monthly instead of watching the market daily. Keep your debt load light. And when your income grows, let the gap between what you earn and what you spend be the engine that does all the heavy lifting. The people who reach financial independence aren't the ones with the fanciest strategies. They're the ones with the simplest systems who stuck with them, long enough for compounding to do the work. Priya isn't special. She just has fewer leaks and more patience. Derek isn't doomed. He just needs to simplify. And look, maybe you're somewhere in the middle right now. Maybe you've got some of these pieces, but not all of them. That's fine. You don't need to overhaul your entire life by Friday. You just need one move this week. Pull up your bank statement, cancel every subscription you haven't touched in 30 days, and move that money into an automated investment. That's it. One move. The rest builds from there. And if you want to go further, open that simple spreadsheet and write down your net worth. Just the number. You'll check it again next month, and the month after that, and before you know it, you'll have a trend line that tells you more about your financial health than any app or guru ever could. Hit subscribe and like so I can keep making these deep dives for you. Next video, we're breaking down exactly how to build a side income that doesn't eat your entire life. I'll see you there.